Hi, Kimberly. I'm gonna just video my corrections for your study guides. I think it'll be easier on me, and I hope it'll help you as well. Um, I'm sorry for doing this so late, but I did notice that you have not taken the exam yet. So hopefully you will get this before you sit down to take your exam today or tonight. So I'm going to just do these. I know this is not the order that you were assigned the chapters, but I'm going to do 14, 15, and 16 in that order. So chapter 14 on the immune system. The definitions, it looks like you just didn't get to finish. Let's see. So I'm going to skip down to the ones you didn't do. Mast cells are cells that release histamine. So they function in the non-specific immunity, or I'm trying to think what your innate. What your textbook calls non-specific is the innate immunity, but they release histamine and cause the inflammatory response at the area where you have infection. Diapedesis happens actually along with the release of chemicals near the area of infection. It's when the blood vessels kind of become leaky. They leak. They're more open to like fluids escaping, and they have more openings between their cells, so that, say for example, neutrophils that are normally in the blood vessels, they can leave the blood vessels during diapedesis, and they can travel to the site of infection. So diapedesis is just when the blood vessels become very leaky, very permeable, and this happens as a result of an infection or a pathogen entering the body. Chemotaxis is the response of immune system cells towards certain chemicals, like interferons and cytokines and different chemicals that are released at the site of infection. Kupffer cells are cells of the liver that also play a role in immunity. Pyrogens are chemicals that cause fever. Major histocompatibility complex proteins. It sounds very complicated, but it's not. Histo means tissue, and so it's really proteins that are involved in tissue compatibility. You would have to match these proteins up if you were looking for like a match to for someone who needed a kidney transplant or something like that, So there are two classes. There's MHC class 1 and MHC class 2 that you might read about, but they are basically proteins that are on the surface of our cells that identify our cells to our immune system. Tumor necrosis factors, agglutination is, okay, you'll have to look tumor necrosis factors up, but agglutination is when it's like blood clotting. And if you were to get a transfusion into your blood of the wrong blood type, you would have agglutination, which would cause your blood to clot because of all the antibodies that are being produced against the incorrect blood type. Interleukins are chemicals that are released that will draw the immune system to that site. I think they're also involved in virus infections. Antigenic determinant site is the place on the antigen that is recognized by the immune system. Dendritic cells are cells of the immune system that are found in the skin, the dermis of the skin. And then allergies are like an overreaction to the inflammatory response, or an overreaction to some type of pathogen, even if it's harmless. Autoimmune disorders are when our immune system that has supposedly developed a tolerance to our body cells actually begins to attack its own body cells. And then immunological competence, you're going to have to look that one up because I'm afraid I won't say it correctly. So look up tumor necrosis factors and immunological competence. I'll be honest with you, I don't recall those being on the exam at all anyway. So, okay, here I remember the two collecting ducts are the thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct, and both empty into the subclavian veins. Good. And then we've got T cells, B cells, and NK cells. Perfect. Good job on that. Number 4 is correct. Number 5 is correct. Number 6 is correct. 7 is correct. Vein. No, 7 is not correct. 7 should be veins. 8. Which leukocytes function in immunological surveillance? NK cells. Good. Plasma contains, oh, the answer is more. Maybe that wasn't so clear. A bacterial infection would most likely affect lymph nodes in the inguinal region. Inguinal. So this should be the inguinal lymph nodes because they'll be closest. They're in the groin area, so they'll be closest to the foot. And this one's 80. Let's see. These are correct. 14 lymphocytes, erythrocytes. 15 and 16 are correct. 17 is correct. Yeah, so 18 lymph nodes filter lymph, and the spleen filters blood. Redness, swelling, heat, and pain. And make sure you know the reasons for those. The redness is because blood vessels, blood flow is increased to the area of infection, and this is going to lead to swelling, and the swelling will lead to pain. And the heat is from the increased blood flow and also from pyrogens that are released. No, 21 is neutrophils. Even though, okay, so there are two types of phagocytes. Macrophages are phagocytes, but they are not the first line of cellular defense. The neutrophils are phagocytes. They're smaller than the macrophages, and they are the first to arrive at a site of infection. 22 and 23 are correct. 24, 25, 26, 27. Tolerance is when the immune system doesn't respond to all antigens, particularly to our own self-antigens, the antigens that are found on our body cells. We don't want our immune system to attack our own cells. Okay, and the rest of this, okay, this is important, that 31 through 34. All right, naturally acquired active immunity, immunity not functional at birth. It begins to develop after birth and continues to build. Okay, an example of naturally acquired active immunity is like if you're given a shot of antibodies, like if you have COVID and they give you an antibody shot. So the antibodies are already active. Naturally acquired passive is when a baby will receive antibodies through the mother's milk. Perfect. Artificially acquired active is a vaccine. And artificially acquired passive would be like an injection. An injection of antibodies is artificially acquired passive. So naturally acquired active, I told you wrong, I'm sorry. Naturally acquired active immunity. Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry. Number 31 is when you get sick. if you get sick from something, you've already been exposed to it, so you will have immunity to it if it if that same pathogen tries to infect you again. Okay, so artificially acquired passive is the one where you get an injection of antibodies. Artificially acquired active is going to be a vaccine. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to be confusing there. All right, I know that you have to know this one and this one. Okay, this one looks great. I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to record the other two, 15 and 16.